today a good time to buy a home or should I wait? And the answer to that, the short answer is yes, it is a great time to buy a home, and no, you shouldn't wait. There are a lot of reasons why now is a good time. Primarily, mortgage rates are down, as we discussed. Home prices are flat across the U.S. and trending down in most locations. There is no place left in the country where rates are still, home prices are still on the way up. 100% now are trending down or flat. So consider flat a good thing. If you're in a market where the prices have not gone up, but they've not gone down much, and you're having a hard time maintaining the same price, consider yourself lucky. In most cases, people, investors, and sellers of homes are chasing themselves to the bottom. And that leads for basically the equivalent of a run on the bank when you got a lot of homes for sale and very few buyers and a lot of sellers. Fortunately, right now, it tends to be a buyer's market, the way that this thing's shaping up today, because the buyers have a lot of opportunity, primarily because of some of these programs. We talked about this new government program, finance program called I have to read this thing because it's so long, FHFA, First Time Homebuyer Mortgage Rate Discount Program. They didn't come up with some government acronym, but I'd call it bomb diggity, because what it does is for anybody who is in the either low to moderate income level and has a poor credit score and above. Basically, they're taking people now down to about 580 credit score. First-time home buyers, and first time, by the way, means that you haven't bought a home in the last, I don't know if it's 7 or 10 years. If you haven't bought a home in the last 7 or 10 years, even if you got foreclosed out 12 years ago, you're now a first-time home buyer again. And if this home is going to be a primary home, you meet all of those criteria, you're going to be able to get 1.75% interest deduction immediately right off the top. So it doesn't matter whether you've got a conventional fixed rate loan or a conventional adjustable rate mortgage, whatever the dollar amount is or the interest rate. If it's 6% with this new government program, you're going to be paying 4.25%. If it's 5%, you're going to be paying 3.25%. So it's a tremendous advantage for those who meet that criteria, which is primarily about 67 to 70% of the U.S. population fits in that category. So believe it or not, this is the best I've seen in 23 years in terms of the benefits to buyers to be able to buy a loan. And it's getting ready to get better. And that's what we're going to talk about today. There are 9 ownership bills running their way through Congress, through the House right now, primarily. A couple of them have been passed by the House, ready for the Senate to sign, all of which have got the president's thumbs up. He will sign if it makes it through both houses. Now, in many cases, a lot of these aren't going to appear till January because the House and the Senate are winding down for the year, of course. When they do, the makeup of the Senate and the House will have changed. Primarily, the House will have gone Republican. And some of these bills may not make it through, but if any of these things make it through, it's going to get even better. Now, these bills focus on several things. Tax credits, for one. So in other words, if you were to buy a house, you're going to be able to get a big direct reduction in your income taxes. Number 2, some of them are cash grants. They're going to give people literally cash to buy your house. Now, this is not down payment money. This is literally you buy a house and we'll give you $30,000 or $40,000 to stick into your checking account and do with what you want. That won't pass. I can guarantee you that will not pass a Republican House. But, good try. Incentives of all kinds are on the table. Some crazy stuff. And when I say crazy stuff, all you need to do is look out here to the People's Republic of California and what Emperor Newsom has passed over the last several years to see what kind of shenanigans the nation's in for, because what starts here tends to roll back to the east. We've got some crazy stuff. First of all, a couple of years ago, it got into the governor's mind and the legislature out here to pass a bill to basically penalize all investors. So the way it works, and it actually ended up penalizing most first-time home buyers. The way it works is if you own a house, you buy a house and you own it less than 3 years and you sell it, you have to pay between 25 and 40% of your profit immediately at the closing table to the state of California as a penalty. So it was designed so that people who were making a lot of money rehabbing houses and selling them would be penalized for doing so. But it turned out that most of the people that got hurt on this thing were homeowners who bought a home and then decided within 3 years their family dynamic changed or their lifestyle changed or whatever. COVID happened during this period of time. And so people were spending more time at home. They determined, gee, now I can't live in this little condo apartment in downtown San Diego. I want to be out in suburbia, so I want to sell this and then go out and buy a house. When they sold this, lo and behold, 25 to 40% of the profit immediately from the closing table, right from the title companies, went to the state of California as a penalty. So, the law of unintended consequences was invented here in the state of California, and there's a good example of exactly what's going to happen. Other funny shenanigans that could happen. There are penalties for buying homes that are in default foreclosure. It's very hard to get a property foreclosed in California because the state takes quasi-ownership during a period of time after the auction is held until true ownership is conveyed. There's a period of time when the state, believe it or not, has the right through a state employee for their own benefit to buy a home at an arm's length transaction that you already bought at auction. Now, they can pay you what you paid plus interest at 8%, although the state charges 10%. It may be 6%. And that's on an annual basis. So they can take your house away and they can buy it for their own account. That's clearly lining the pockets of government employees. I understand that several people that run the university system in California kind of got their hand slapped for buying mansions this way for themselves. You're going to see that same kind of thing happen in other parts of the country. It's going to be a pigs eat at the trough thing for the government to get their hands in there. They're going to give out a ton of money from the tax rolls to people to buy homes and live in them for the rest of their lives. But if you do anything other than that, you're going to end up paying a big wad. And just to give you an example, they have forced down a lot of the down payment requirements on these loans right now. Currently, USDA home loans, 0% down. VA, Veterans Administrations, if you're a VA or veteran, thank you for your service. Go out and get yourself a loan right now, no money down. Conventional 97, 3% down. Home Ready and Home Possible loans are 3% down, and all FHA loans, 3.5% loan. So we're not only having a sale on money, we're offering it at 1.75% below the market rate. We're giving you, as the first-time home buyer, an opportunity to put zero skin in the game. So, I've only been at this thing over 20 years, but I can tell you that people who have zero skin in any game, whether it's a business or if it's life, if you don't have any skin in the game, you're not going to respect that same thing as if you worked hard for it. And we've seen this before in, once again, other government programs we had in California where local communities gave out money for people for down payments, up to 20% down, with the idea that you live there, and then when the house gets sold, the government gets a piece of it. Now we've turned that into basically a program here in California where the state wants to own 40% of all homes going forward. You'll see that thing try to pass through Congress at some point, probably not next year, but maybe depending on who wins the election 2 years from now, you'll see that thing ram through. So eventually this thing's going to transition from private, this will be my prediction, private ownership to a semi-public ownership, just like the Postal Service. And we know how that worked, right? That's a great deal right there. So expect to see that happen as well down the road. In the meantime, if you are a buyer and you want to get out there and get something cheap with no money down, go out and buy a house right now. It doesn't matter what it costs, because you're never going to see this type of combination, low down payment or no down payment, and very low interest rates, not in the near future. The government has understood finally that the biggest industry out there in the U.S. that they need to maintain is the housing industry. Unfortunately, the Fed has targeted the housing industry vis-a-vis raising interest rates to drive down prices to kill inflation. Unfortunately, and they don't even read their own manual, inflation on houses has nothing to do with the consumer price index. So they're using this as a measurement. The houses are irrelevant. House prices are irrelevant as to inflationary numbers. Now, rentals are, but ownership of homes and prices of homes don't factor into inflation. So, we're getting hammered for the misdeeds of people over here in our housing industry. And as a result, it's actually become an unfair advantage for a large demographic of our population out there. So, but take advantage of it if you can. Like I said, mortgage rates are down. Home prices are flat. It's a buyer's market, and it will be for at least the next 2 or 3 months. There's some talk out yesterday and today, and I don't know if this is a floating trial bubble balloon thing or not, but there's some talk about the Fed may suspend rate increases next year. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's people trying to chum their own stock. But, wouldn't that be a good Christmas present to find out that we're done with interest rate hikes and that eventually rates will come down? If rates come down, these zero down payment programs will go bye-bye. So, like I'm saying, a combination of these two things right now make the best buying opportunity if you are a buyer of a home, or if you want to sell your home and you've got some equity, I'd do it right now. I'd get that sucker out there, because you're never going to get buyers who are this qualified. By this qualified, I mean have the ability to close, even though they may not technically have the ability or the income to close. These new programs are going to put a lot of people into homes that they probably can't afford. That's another discussion down the road. That means 7 to 10 years from now, we're going to see a big spike in the foreclosure rate. It's not going to happen immediately. In the meantime, go out there and get yourself some homes. Go out and make some money and buy yourself a home for the first time. And if you want to sell your home or you plan to sell it the next 2-3 years, probably now is the best time to do that as well. Investors, you guys know how to play the game. Buy low, sell high. You make all your money when you buy. This stuff only affects you from the standpoint of your buyers can actually cash you out now. In a lot of cases, it is readily available. And that's why it's a buyer's advantage market today. I don't think it's going to be like this in 2, 3, 4 months. I think this thing's going to turn and go the other way, but we'll see. It's all going to depend on what the Fed does and how the mortgage bankers, if they can put some stiffness in their back and not bow down to, but bow up against the Federal Reserve's jumping of interest rates, is what I think is going to happen. They're going to keep raising interest rates. So anyway, that's our news you can use for today. Good time to buy a home or wait. Buy now, don't wait. Go get it done today.